Thanks, Luke.
There's Luke McCormack, South Croydon coach. And so we start the fourth quarter as King wins the tap down, does his own roving as well, gets tackled solidly there by Hudson. And we'll have take two on that ball up in the centre of the ground. South Croydon firmly in control, 14-10-94, leading Norwood 5-9-39 here on Radio Eastern 98.1. Here's Anderson. He goes by hands. It finds his teammate now here in Glenn Strawn. He kicks one up towards the half-forward line. And, well, it looked like it took a bit of a breeze out there as it went off the side of the boot and out over the boundary line. And we'll have a boundary throw in.
Glenn Strawn was unmarked there off the back of that contest by an absolute mile. That's just, it's getting embarrassing now for Norwood. They just lack accountability there.
Either could have taken a couple of bounces and gone himself.
Oh, and Luke McCormack said before the game, he's such a good ball user and he's been on VFL lists, and yet you just got him just roaming 20 metres off the back of the pack.
So in comes the boundary throw. Narberg's back into the ruck. It's one down. Comes straight off the boot. The kick there by Pongracic is just straight up into the air, high up and under. Underneath that was Walker, but busting through there is Blease. He takes the ball away now here for Norwood. Chips one out towards the centre half back. In the feet there of Bacedo. He can't do much with it. Anderson almost wrestled it from him. But we'll have a ball up on the edge of the centre square, near side of the ground. And the half back line now here for Norwood as the tap comes down. Narbergs wins that one, trying to work the footy there with Jordan. Hands over the top there by Cass, finding his teammate now here in Rosier. He snaps around the body. It goes in towards the goal square. Coming in from the side was Cox. Stops, props, and has put it through. Well, a little bit. It floated a little bit there before it crossed the goal line, but that's South Croydon's 15th goal of the afternoon, and they now have crossed into triple figures in terms of the scoreline. 15-10-100. They lead Norwood 5-9-39, 2 minutes into the fourth quarter on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
Really good body work there by Jake Tucker to keep Stuart Hill from affecting that contest. He just left the gap there for Cox to run in, just take an uncontested mark around about 10 blokes and pop it in for an easy one. So really, really good work there from Jake Tucker.
So the lead out to 61 points now for South Croydon, just building that percentage, which may come into play later in the season, of course. Quick handball there by Rosier was blocked by Lane. Allison did well, got it out to Rosier, then to Cox, who kicked the last goal. Cox kept the kick very low, and was a pretty good effort there by Tucker, but his kick was smothered. King for goal number 5. He usually kicks, he doesn't need much of an opportunity, and he often kicks those, but just off to the left this time. Minor score for Michael King. 4 goals, 1 for the day for him. South Croydon 15-11, 101. Norwood 5-9-39.
Bennell to bring the ball back in. His kick up towards the half-back line. Taken there by Anderson pretty comfortably. And he's about 60 from home. Decides to centre the footy there in towards King of the Dan variety. Now he moves back. Chips this one in short towards centre half forward. Oh, leaping at the back there was Birch. Couldn't take the mark. Crosseratus got a nice handball out there to Blease. And he kicks it up in towards the half forward line. No one really there except Williams for Norwood as Donnell exchanges handballs there with Crowell. Made a meal of that second one, but poked it intelligently through there to Donnell. It's roved onto there by Hill. He gets a handball forward. That's poked forward by Gibson. And well done there by Marshall, mopping up at the back for the Bulldogs. And here goes Dan King. Takes a bounce through centre. King got plenty on offer. Decides to take a second bounce and come out wide. And his kick finds Birch on the centre wing area. He gets a handball over the top, and away comes South Croydon now here through Cass. He centres the footy in towards centre half forward. Wasn't taken cleanly. Handball over the top, finds Rosier. Tries to shake a tackle. It was a good one. Another tackle there on Cooper there by Newman. Loose footy. Newman dives in on it, as does Rosier, and we'll have a ball up about 30 metres out directly in front here for South Croydon. Let's go to Barry Cox for the score update.
Yeah, the Division 2 game is getting very exciting. You want to turn to South 60 to Liddell 57. Close one, 3 points.
Well, the Devils up by 3 points as this one tapped down by Tucker. Loose footy on the deck, and that's wrapped up. We'll have another ball up.
I've just got a text through with another score, Barry. Toby Primes just let me know. Doncaster 6-9-45, trail Baldwin 7-9-51.
Thank you. Close one out there. It's at Baldwin is there. Shrams, excuse me. As this one poked up high, up and towards the centre of the ground, and a good mark taken there by Tobin, going back with the flight of the footy. And he centers one. Well, that was almost chopped off, but fortuitously falls now here to Cass. Pumps one in towards goal. Has he kicked this one? He has. What a goal there by Jaden Cass. That's his first of the afternoon. And that's South Croydon 16th, 16-11, 107. Norwood 5-9, 39. 5 minutes gone, fourth quarter.
And that kick, although it wasn't absolutely perfect, it took the game on again. I know they're playing with a fair bit of aggression now and freedom, but that was a nice diagonal kick to Cass. And there's been a lot of drop marks by Norwood, actually, now that we mention it today. But I think Brad would have liked that one for goal of the day because it couldn't be stopped, Brad. He's kicked it from outside the arc, goalpost height.
Yeah, that's spot on. But I think you'll still be hard pressed to beat Matt Jones for that goal he kicked on the run in the second quarter as the most exciting goal of the day. But that was certainly a terrific goal by Jaden Cass, who's had a fine day today. Everything he's done has been quality. Really used the footy well when he's got his hands on it. So 68 points the lead now for South Croydon. Socket off the ground then by Pongracic. Cox somehow got it out to Mallison. Cass pushed off the footy then by Feltham. Hudson, Carroll, it is there working hard on the deck and trying to rip the ball from the grip of Mallison, but the umpire will throw it up.
11 individual goal kickers for the Dogs today. That's a very, very even spread.
Yeah, that's how you like it. There's a quick kick by King.
Could be 12.
King's kick right to the line. Hill was back there, got hands to it, and he's been paid the mark, Stuart Hill. So on the last line of defence, Stuart Hill, he's usually a pretty good user of the ball. Very good decision maker, typically. That's no exception. He put it to a 2-on-1 where the big ruckman Neibergs was in prime position. Crucerata somehow coughs up the footy, just lost a handle on it. Works out okay, though, for the Norseman, although the kick was smothered there from the boot of Carroll. The kick forward, Gibson for Norwood paddles it out to Bennell. Bennell's handball to Bassetto. And Bassetto, neat kick into the path of Pearson. Pearson didn't get back very far from the man on the mark, but his kick there sat up a long time for Blease. Blease does well through that, what would be the choppiest part of Cheong Park, that centre wing position. Blease's kick in the boundary. Walker did well. Sweeping handball then by Walker to King. King right up against the boundary line, paddled it further afield with the handball, and it's taken to the boundary line there by Pearson. And 68 points, still the margin here at Cheong Park. Boundary throw-in right in front of the social club here at Cheong Park.
So Luke McCoy very happy with his side's consistency, as you heard from Dan Sensick there at three-quarter time. In comes the tap. Narberg's over the top. Hudson did the roving, kicks one in towards the forward line. Stewart couldn't take the mark. Neither could Tobin there for the Bulldogs. Loose footy on the deck. Socket off the ground. Hudson almost came up with it, but Anderson, who's been prolific all day, gets to it. He's stripped of it there by Wright. Loose footy. And, well, it's not really going anywhere as Cox manages now to get a hand to it. It comes straight now to his teammate there in Strawn. And, well, both teams battling it out on the deck, but it's pumped back in towards the goal square. Stewart going back with a flight. It's going to beat him over the goal line for the minor score. And just the 1 point added to the tally of Norwood this afternoon. They move to 5-10-40, trailing South Croydon 16-11, 107. The ball moved quickly out now here by Tobin in towards the back pocket. And South Croydon just slowing things down, although they really don't need to, as Allison has the that's moved out there by O'Neill, excuse me. There's a kick now, falls into the waiting hands of Gibson. He gets a quick hand there to Wright, back to Gibson. Wright got collected after the whistle, so advantage paid downfield. And it's going to fall into the hands there of Marshall. There's no one there for Norwood. Marshall's got about 20 metres of space in front of him, takes two bounces, thought about a third one and kicks this one out now here towards centre wing. And, well, just muscling his man out of the contest there was King. Effortlessly, but then he puts a mongrel of a kick which goes under the man on the mark to Neibergs, and he gets a hand pass out now here to his teammate here in Bassetto. He shakes a tackle as the hand pass comes back now all the way back to Mead, as that kick now finds Gibson, and he's dealt with there. And we'll have a ball up just outside the 50 here, attacking side of the ground for Norwood. But really not much to cheer about in the last quarter and a bit for the Norsemen as Tucker does the ruck work this time for the Bulldogs. Swooped off the deck there by Croseratis into the waiting hands of the Basido. Couldn't take it cleanly.
Oh.
Players still going in hard, and one of them being Donnell. And he did well to wrest that from the control of David Johnson. Let's go to Barry Cotts for a score update.
Yes, Division 4, Forest Hill and Coldstream. Forest Hill lead 15,999 to Coldstream 5,838, and Noble Park and Montrose. Noble Park is 4 points leaders in the last quarter in Division 1.
67 points the lead here at Cheong Park, and it will be a ball up once more.
Well, that Noble Park Montrose scoreline's a bit of a seesaw.
Oh, they were my roughie during the week, Steve.
Yeah.
Montrose. Noble aren't as good as they used to be, I don't think.
No, I'm sure Brett Beston's still consoling himself.
Feltham paddled it on then to Bennell. Bennell over the footy. Strong tackle applied there by Cox. Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had a seesawing game like that one out here this afternoon. It's been one-way traffic for most of the afternoon.
We'll just tow the caravan out there quickly.
Tucker leapt high in the ruck. Has had a bit of a quiet day, really, in such a dominant performance. Jake Tucker, just the one goal. Long kick, plenty of holding on back there. And which way is the umpire seen
Stewart,
it?
I think it'll be Stewart's
He
free.
races in and calls the free kick, and it will go to Darren Stewart, who's had a pretty quiet afternoon for the Norsemen. In fact, he's had a quiet couple of weeks, really. Battled hard against Vermont last week without being able to put much of a imprint on proceedings. Today's been a similar story. He's been fairly well unsighted. So Stewart looks good off the boot. I think he's made no mistake. It is a goal, and Norwood get their first goal of this final quarter. They move on to 6 goals, 10-46, trailing South Croydon 16-11 107. The margin back to 61 points on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
Well, it was better play, and Josh Busetto's come into the game maybe as everyone else tires, maybe a bit of extra leg speed there. He burst away from the centre there, winning the ball out of the clearance, but that's the thing they haven't been able to do for 2 weeks now, Brad, is get more of that free-flowing footy going, which helps when you've got tools. And like we've said all day, South Croydon, as soon as the ball has hit the ground, they've been enormous. Stevie Donnell right in front of us, just winning that against a man far superior in size and height, and Dylan Marshall was doing it earlier against Lee Williams. So the Dogs just stamping their authority back in Division 1.
So 12 and a half gone, commanding lead here to South Croydon, but Narbergs wins the tap out of the centre, but the ball won there by Allison. He gets a high kick up towards centre half forward, well taken to the ground there, as this moves now here to Blease, out on the wing now here for Norwood, snaps around the body, it's a floater, and well taken there by Pearson. He moves the footy quickly here for Norwood, inside 50 direction of Williams, going back with a flight. It's going to beat everyone. It might have beat everyone into the goal square, and it does. Oh, it was touched according to the umpire. And well, the appeals from the fans as to who touched that.
I don't think anybody did.
So just the minor score there for Norwood. In my opinion, should have been 6 points, but 6-11-47. And well, Norwood just can't buy a goal, even though they did in the last 5 minutes. But considering the scoreline, you'd think otherwise. Here's Tobin now. Nice moves from him. Gets around Blease, gets a hand to Allison. And away comes Matheson now here for the South Croydon Footy Club. Moves this infield now here to Crowell. And well, South Croydon just with plenty of time and space and all the time in the world. That one's Liam Cox. Kicks one upfield now here to Strawn. Strawn goes downfield into the direction there of Anderson. Who else would it be? And he's going to line up from about 55 out here for South Croydon.
Just loose players everywhere now.
That's a training drill. That's literally a training drill. They switched it across in 2 kicks and then a couple of incisive balls to a leading target. That's more or less what you do at training here on a Tuesday or Thursday night. Maybe the darkness has made them feel like that, Brad. They're just having a training run.
It was as easy as it gets.
Here's Anderson looking for his second of the afternoon. Just puts it to the right. Just the minor score. 16-12, 108 for South Croydon. They lead Norwood 6-11-47, 14 and a half gone. Fourth quarter, Bendigo Bank scoreboard. Let's go to Barry Cotts first.
Yeah, just in relation to the Bourne game, it's halfway through the last quarter and it's a 5-point lead to Bourne. Bourne 51, Doncaster 45.
Thank you, Barry. Free kick there to Darren Stewart. Pushing the back paid against Jake Tucker. So Stewart banks the kick to the wing position. Big fly from Marshall. decisive fist by him, got it down to Allison. Allison went laterally then to Crowell. We saw that really good kick by Crowell a couple of minutes ago to switch the play. This time he just doesn't try to bite off too much this time. Narbergs takes possession, handballs to Pearson. Pearson's been one of Norwood's better players, I reckon. He's kept driving the ball forward for them throughout the afternoon. And on this occasion, he's managed to find Lee Williams, who'll go back and line up before his 4th goal of the afternoon. And you'd back him to kick this from pretty well straight in front, about 40 metres out. He's a beautiful kick of the football. So Lee Williams loads up and never in doubt. Splits the middle and kicks his 4th of the day. 7 goals on the board for Norwood. 7-11-53. South Croydon 16-12-108. But it's fair to say a decided lack of excitement after that goal from the Norsemen. They didn't exactly get around Lee Williams too much to congratulate him. Let's cross down to Dan Sensick on the boundary.
Yeah, Brad, just picking up on that last point, a fair few Bronx cheers from the Doggies faithful out there. There's a fairly parochial crowd out here.
So 16 minutes gone. South Croydon looking to add to their season tally, both percentage-wise and points-wise. That's a free kick given here the way. Well, let's see which way this one's going. It's going against Johnson here for Norwood. So King's going to take it outside the centre, just inside the centre square, excuse me. And he moves it quickly. Moves in short. Finds Strawn. Strawn now swings one around in towards the forward line. Over the head there of Newman, but it's picked up now here by Tucker. Evades Hill. Taken now here by his teammate and Cooper, excuse me, has he put that through? He has. And well, Cooper's kicked another one. And well, the salt really in the wounds now of Norwood if it wasn't already at 3/4 time. And it's 17-12, 114, 7-11-53. Cooper's 2nd of the afternoon.
Just moving forward for Norwood, not today, obviously, throughout the year, I'd be interested, especially in Dan's thoughts, of moving Lee Williams up to centre half forward. And just playing higher up because he can kick goals from outside 50 as well, and he makes the most of his opportunities. But I think they've just got their 2 top heavy down forward.
Well, 10 goals, 1 the deficit, 61 points for South Croydon, and that was a great gather then by Cooper to set up that goal. But the hand pass nearly went over his head, but he plucked it nicely. This is Hudson now, who hits Williams on the chest, lace out, and Lee Williams will go back and line up for goal number 5. He hasn't had silver service like that too much today, as he just got from Blair Hudson. And as I said before, you'd back him to kick this as well. Doesn't miss too often from this range. Fairly well straight in front. Kicks through the footy. And just hangs it out to the left this time. In fact, he's put it out on the full.
Oh.
And his approach just looked a little different that time, Lee Williams. And as a result, it went on the full. Let's cross down to the boundary once again with Dan Sensick.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Just picking up from Matt's point just before about Lee Williams potentially playing further up the ground. We saw the instant impact he had when he went to the middle for that very brief period of time in the 3rd quarter. But I think at this point in time, it's probably more about damage control than anything else. He's, as you see, he could have kicked a goal just then, and he's bobbed up with one this quarter. So I think he'll be playing deep for the rest of the game.
I'm talking more about throughout the year, Dan, throughout the season.
Ball was shot out to Feltham. Feltham, high shot, and he blazed away then. Just off target. Good attempt in by Dylan Feltham, but the youngster just missing. The margin is 60 points now on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
So Tobin going to bring the ball back in here for South Croydon. 19 minutes played, nearly approaching time on here in the 4th and final term. His kick up towards centre wing, and well, taken nicely there by Stewart, who's shared the rucking duties with Narbergs here this afternoon. His high kick in towards the direction of Williams. Couldn't take it. Snapping around the body was Constantino. Goes straight up into the air. Punched down there by Anderson. And, well, Pearson couldn't prevent it traversing the boundary line. Boundary throw-in the left forward pocket here for Norwood. And deep, nearly approaching, time on here in this last quarter of action here at Eastern Footy League on Radio Eastern 98.1 or streaming around the globe, efl.org.au. Don't forget, we'll have all the scores in our post-game show, as well as some around the grounds reports, so stay tuned for those. As the contested footy trying to burst through and doing well again as Anderson decides to take a casual bounce, hands this one off now here to Strawn. Strawn takes a bounce of his own and kicks this one well, held off the footy, apparently. No, he went more than 15. So, well, we'll work that one out later, I think. So it was a free kick here towards to Norwood, and it's taken in the centre round here by Alex Calder. Got Blees on offer in the centre wing area. And he's got time and space to assess his options. Spears one in towards the direction of Williams. That's a great mark. And, well, one would have been asking where was this from Norwood in the first 2 terms of footy. And they're playing better than they did in the last 10 than they are in the first.
It might have something to do with South Croydon thinking about tonight.
Well, that's the factor too.
Rather than the footy at the moment.
I stand corrected. So, Lee Williams lining up for potentially goal number 5 here on the afternoon. The kick from 50, dead in front, is straight as an arrow. He's kicked 5 for the afternoon here in a losing effort for the Norwood Football Club. They are 8-12-60. They trail South Croydon 17-12. 114, 21 minutes gone, fourth quarter. Let's go to Barry Cotts for some scores.
Division 1, 24 minutes gone, final term, and Montrose have put their noses back in front by 2 points over Noble Park.
Calm the days. Here we go.
54 points, the deficit back to here. Now at Cheong Park, South Croydon 17-12, 114. Norwood are 8 goals, 12-60. So they've kicked 3 goals in this last quarter, 3 goals apiece in this final term. So Norwood are certainly running the game out fairly well, but damage is well and truly done. That was Marshall who kicked it forward, but it's been well marked back there by Stewart, who's come to life in this last quarter. He's on fire at the moment, but has had a quiet day for the first 3 quarters. Nice mark then by Pongracic. Handed it off to Cooper. Cooper gave it to Cass. Cass's kick was smothered there by Calder, and straight back over the boundary line. So it's Calder wearing one on that occasion, but it was worth it to affect the smother. 54 points, the margin. Boundary throw in. Nicely sharked then by Cass. Ball spills out. Hudson. Handball into open space. Feltham finally does get a clean gather of the footy. Hands it off to Carroll. Carroll's kick was a poor one. He's usually a good user of the footy, but that was disappointing. Dan King steadies now, goes to Shink. Shink's kick to Rosier, diving, and Patrick Rosier safely holds the mark on that outer wing. In the shadows here at Cheong Park, Dan King short to Tobin. Tobin tries to pinpoint the pass, can't do so. Newman defending for Norwood, handed it off to Hudson. Hudson runs around in a bit of a circle and almost sells himself into some danger. Got it to Calder. Calder's kick hugs the boundary and finally over the boundary line. And the sting has definitely gone out of this one, boys. Let's cross to Barry Cotts.
Yes, and an exciting game between Noble Park and Montrose. Noble Park kicked a goal in the last quarter to claim victory by 2 points. Noble Park 10-9-69 have defeated Montrose 10-7-67.
They've got out of jail. Tell you what, this game says a lot about Noble Park too, because Norwood wiped the floor with Noble Park a couple of weeks ago. So I'm interested to see where Noble Park will finish now.
Here's Pongracic running onto the footy. His hands over the top. Finds his teammate in King, and he's kicked it.
Zip.
That's goal number 5 for the afternoon. And, well, he's put on an absolute clinic this afternoon, has Michael King. And, well...
How many touches do you reckon he's had? 8? He's kicked 5, goal 1, I think. He'd have 8 touches. Yeah.
Well, between him, Rosier, and... and Anderson. So that moves South Croydon 18-12, 120, 8-12-60, and Norwood 25 minutes played here in the 4th and final term at Cheong Park. A real percentage booster here for the Bulldogs.
Norwood's percentage has taken a massive hit in the last fortnight as well, hasn't it, Brad?
It has indeed. Yeah, they got the percentage booster their way 2 weeks ago, but it's gone south since then. Strong tackle then applied by Big Max King. It's got a nice symmetry about the scoreboard at the moment here at Cheong Park. It's exactly 10 goals the margin. It's South Croydon have doubled Norwood's score, exactly. And yeah, it's 120 to 60. It's exactly 10 goals the deficit. I think they'd be happy to finish on that score line. 25 minutes gone in the last quarter. Not too much time left. Handball shot out then by O'Neill to Cox. Neat pass into the path of Marshall. He's had a fine game this afternoon. Dylan Marshall went short to Allison. Late inclusion into the team today. Marshall's handball was errant. Cox there working hard, got it back to Marshall again. Kick forward by Max King, and it was a good pass then. Just putting it over the back of Gibson on that occasion, and the mark safely held for South Croydon by Walker. And Dale Walker, he hasn't always looked completely 100% fit at times today, but he's kept competing. He's stayed out there, and he's got the chance to boot his first goal of the day. And that is exactly what Dale Walker has done. Kicks the goal and stretches the lead out, back out to 66 points. Let's cross down to Dan Sensick on the boundary.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Walker spent a bit of time on the bench earlier this quarter with a bit of a complaint. He was hobbling around, as you mentioned before, but they couldn't keep him off the ground. You should have seen him pump the fist when he was going back on.
I think it's now becoming a case of who's not on the score sheet for South Croydon as to who is. But
I've got Max King, Steve Zanell, Dylan Marshall, James Crow, Dan King, and then Molnar, Schnick, Sean, Homer, and Pongrachik. So there's only, well, Pongrachik has kicked a goal as well. There's only about 7 or 8 blokes. It's incredible.
Let's see if they can get them all in the last 4 minutes, considering how long the third term went. Here's Pongracic, as you just mentioned, off the centre break. It's picked up here by Chrysaratis. His kick now in towards the direction there of Johnson. And
that's soft.
Holding, says the umpire. And a free kick here for Norwood. And it's going to go to Lee Williams. And he'll be looking to add to his tally of 5 this afternoon. 19-12-126, Norwood 8-12-60. And he's going to line up from about 50 straight out in front. And looking to add another consolation goal now here for the Norseman. And here comes the kick. And looks like he's just skewed it to the right again. And just the minor score. Norwood now 8-13-61. South Croydon 19-12-126 as Tobin brings the ball back in, kicks it to himself, kicks down to the near side of the ground and right out on the full end of the interchange bench. And no one really wanted to claim a possession there.
Dan Sensick fan.
Yeah, I was just waiting for him to get up.
He's going to go that barrel from 60.
Here's Blees now. He's kicking towards Williams, takes the mark, and he may get a chance at a retrieval here at his last effort. As just directing his player on the mark there, that being James Crowell. And yeah, he'd be a pick to run around with Cox standing just off to the right. So he snaps and just gets the minor score as well. That 2 points on 2 kicks there from Lee Williams. 8-14-62, South Croydon 19-12-126, 28 and a half gone here. 4th and final term on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. As Tobin brings the footy back in now in the far pocket. Gives it off now here to Strawn. Strawn's kick. Now it was a bit of a mongrel there. Pongracic did well to win it back. And South Croydon mop up at the back now here through Cass. His kick up towards centre wing, but it's, well, we thought it was going to be taken there by Jesse Newman. Gets a second go at it. We've got one up high. Play continues as he's grabbed by 2 Croydon players. Lane on the ground, and he's tackled by Pongracic, and we'll have a ball up.
Final moments you would think of this clash. 29 minutes gone in the final term, and it is a 58-point lead? No?
64.
There's your math. 64 point lead at this stage.
It was year 12 at least.
Blees takes possession, drives it up towards the wing. Pearson, the target, had Ava in support. In fact, Ava did well to pinch that mark from a pack of 3 other players. Comes in board to Johnson. Johnson sweeping handball to Calder. Calder coughed it up though to Marshall. Marshall for South Croydon. Gave it to King, who lost the boot in all of that. Ball spills clear, right. Shovels out the handball to Calder. Still plenty of pressure being applied by both sides. But it's all in vain as far as Norwood are concerned, because today South Croydon have been far too good for the Norsemen. The Bulldogs, 19 goals, 12. 126 have defeated Norwood. 8 goals, 14, 62. A 64-point win to South Croydon on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
Well, it's been a long day, a long